Nipsey Hussle's accused murderer, Eric Holder, has himself an attorney who's extremely famous. You know the name Christopher Darden because he was part of the prosecution team in O.J. Simpson's murder trial. But Chris is getting a lot of backlash in the African-American community here in L.A. for people who love Nipsey Hussle and feel like Chris Darden is on the wrong side of this. Now, we got out last night, Luenell. In fact, we just had Luenell on last week.
Right.
And last week, when she was on, she was very funny. Love Luenell. She was not laughing, not in a humorous mood at all last night.
There's something I really object to, where she's
hear that. I know what your objection is, and we addressed that with her, but we asked Luenell about Christopher Darden, and she absolutely went off.
This smells like a good old-fashioned Uncle Tom to me. He's worse than an Uncle Tom. He's a Judas. He's a race traitor. He's a flop. He's always been one. There's plenty of other work he could take. Plenty of other work. If he had any gall, if he had any balls, if he had any heart, any soul, he'd say, I decline taking this case, even if it meant walking away. But he ain't got none of that. And that's why he's down there with the other bitch.
Is he not entitled to an attorney? Is he not entitled to represent?
Yeah, let him get the same white, raggedy public defender that everybody down in my neighborhood gets. Let him get the same one that everybody gets. Who's paying you, Christopher Darden? Who's paying you? That's the question.
That is outrageous. I am so offended. As a lawyer, I am so offended by that.
Now,
what are you offended?
I'll tell you why I'm offended. Number one, Christopher Darden, to say this is Uncle Tom, he's representing a black man, right? And number two, it's like there is a constitutional right for despicable people to have a lawyer.
Right.
And that's our system.
Which is why our camera guy Justin asked that.
And by the way, when she says get a raggedy public defender, first of all, that's a bad thing to say about public defenders. And number two,
that was a shot definitely at public defenders.
I know a lot of lawyers who are really, really good lawyers who step in instead of public defenders who are overworked to represent heinous people.
Right.
And it's just
I think there's
a
lot here to
a
lot here to unpack because I mean, to your point, Harvey, there may be some good public defenders or lawyers who step in, but for every person you know, I can name a family member or someone who's been represented by a public defender who paid them no mind. They just wanted to close a case because they were overworked. So I mean, it's her opinion. She said what she said. She does. I mean, have her own opinion to give, and he is getting an attorney. But I think that a lot of people in the black community, that was the question. And when she says Uncle Tom, I don't think she means because he's defending a white person because he's black, obviously. I think it's Nipsey was the person of the people. You know what I'm saying?
Against the community. This is what I say. First of all, I'm never a big fan of calling people Uncle Toms and using that type of language like in public.
Race traitor.
I love Luenell.
Right.
I love Luenell. And my love for her hasn't changed one iota because of this clip. This is what I will say though. It is like the community feels robbed. They feel cheated by Eric Holder. They feel like he took something from them. And to see Christopher Darden defend him or step up and defend him, we don't know what the defense is going to be or what they're going to say or what they're going to allege. It made me feel a way as well. I mean, I completely understand that this is America and everybody has a right to a trial and to a fair trial and to have that trial, you know, be represented by an attorney. But if I were an attorney, I wouldn't have taken that. Yeah. And I think sometimes people people hold people accountable culturally.
But the difference is that you've got to understand the psychology of criminal defense lawyers. And criminal defense lawyers get this. And that is the essence of democracy. People should be proud of Christopher Darden because Christopher Darden took a lot of crap during O.J. Simpson in the black community for prosecuting O.J. Simpson, which is so
can't speak to that.
Crazy.
Can't speak to that.
He's had this.
Can't speak to that. Can't speak to this. What I would say is this, and I'll just ask you, as a Jewish man, if there were a guy who was accused of a heinous hate crime at a synagogue or something like that,
I get it.
And then a Jewish attorney took that case, I think that it would raise eyebrows probably with you and with other members of the community. Well, I'm not equating those two things, but what I am, not at all, but what I am saying is here, a lot of people are looking like, Chris Darden, why?
Because Chris Darden is a really accomplished now criminal defense lawyer. And again, I can give you a bunch of criminal defense lawyers who are representing really heinous heinous, awful people.
But nobody's saying that.
Well, I
no
get
one's
it.
saying Eric Holder doesn't deserve to have an attorney.
No one's saying
it's
that.
more about Christopher Darden and that people in the community
Right.
feel like
Right.
they
And
would
by the way,
doing the right thing.
By the way, right or wrong, those people are allowed to have their
course they are.
feelings about it.
Of
And that's
course
what I'm
they are.
saying. Like, right or wrong, this is America. Everybody do whatever. But
And-
I think people are holding Christopher Darden
Right.
to a cultural standard, and I think he's failing to meet that cultural standard.
Well, I
to a
don't
lot
know.
of people.
I don't know that the black. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that the black community is single-minded
I
about
said a lot
Christopher
of people.
Darden.
I said a lot of people. I said I think, but I didn't even say a lot. I said some, and it's clear that Lunel is.
And
I'll be
Lunel
honest-
is, and Lunel said she was speaking for everybody in her
Right.
community.
And
in
by
her
the way,
neighborhood.
by the way,
Right.
I'll cop to the fact that I also felt away when I'm not saying that Christopher Darden's an Uncle Tom. I would never say that about that brother on television. I wouldn't say that about anybody on television. I'll tell you to your face if I thought that about you. But the reality is that I felt a way when I saw that too, as in I feel like a lot of my friends and people who I know that were talking about it. We just asked like, why?
And because he's a criminal defense lawyer, it makes me think more of Christopher Darden that he would step up and do something.
But you're not from our,
hold on.
but you're
No.
not. You don't have any connection
But
to this.
I'm something you're not, which is a
but
lawyer.
I know, but you're
Well,
looking,
yeah,
but you're looking at it from
your
that's perspective.
and that's fine. You're
And
looking
other
at it from
people
your
look at it from their perspective.
You have to step up
but Harvey,
and represent.
Harvey,
No one's saying
understand.
Holder doesn't deserve to be
Right.
represented.
That's fine. You're
He
looking at
doesn't
it from
talk-
a
no,
from a
nobody's
lawyer
saying that he doesn't
And I'm
deserve
looking
to be
at it from a
represented.
standard.
No.
No,
What?
people in the
No, nobody-
community.
What, a white person should do it?
Harvey,
All
can I ask you a
right.
question?
All right.
Do you recognize that people in the community are
Yes.
hurt over this?
Of course.
Okay, so then
That's why they feel strongly about it.
And that's why
I'm
I'm stepping up, because I know they're hurt, but I think people have got to understand that when Christopher Darden does it, it's not that he's embracing Eric Holder.
I think Christopher Darden.
I'm sure he's not.
I think that Christopher Darden, as a member of the black community, should be willing to be held accountable by them and answer questions that they may have about this. And those questions don't have to always come from a place of the animus that Lunel expressed. They can come from a different place.
Of course.
But those are cultural questions that we can ask.
Which is fine, but that's why I'm raising the point that what he's doing,
Well done.
he does not like Eric Holder, is my guess. It probably
we don't
is
know whether or not he likes him or not, but we will assume that he doesn't.
I will bet my house that he does not like Eric Holder,
Right.
and that he thinks what he did was heinous. He's going to give the guy a defense.
But he allegedly did.
Well, allegedly.
Hey, this is Derek from Houston, Texas, and from the black community, I feel that everybody feel about Chris Darden from his track record, and like his daughter is going through what she's going through because of father's mistakes or what he's doing right now. It sucks. But a question for Harvey, as like a lawyer, like is there like any moral ground or like choosing like what type of cases you take, like with the money and the exposure?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you raise a good point, because Charles actually raised this yesterday, because he was saying, how's Eric Holder going to pay him?
Right.
And look, I know a lot of lawyers, it's called pro bono, and I know a lot of lawyers who do a lot of pro bono work in criminal defense.
Because it's going to it leads to you getting other cases down the road where
or
you will get
just
paid.
do it because you do it. I mean, there's somebody that you and I know who just is in the middle of a case involving a juvenile, no
Right.
money, but
I get it. That's
step
a
in.
different. That I know what you're talking about, and that's a completely different situation.
Well, he
Yes.
is not a popular defendant. Let's put it that way.
All right.